There's no middle class anymore. That's why
Absolutely.
there's nobody can really say much about the middle class, because you can claim you're the middle class like myself, but let you miss one or two goddamn checks, your ass po, you broke. So
Thank you. Thank
to
you.
me, to me, you're rich or you're poor. There's no in between anymore. There's no middle. We can use the whole inflation reasoning, or whatever, but at this point you can't even generalize a plan if that group is diminishing, right?
Imagine living in a world where middle class has vanished. You're either part of the ultra rich or you're struggling to survive. Sounds like nightmare, right? Well, this isn't far off dystopia. It's happening now. People are experiencing it. Let's have a look.
We're a lower middle class family of 7, and we live in a house that's 2 bedrooms too small. Hey you guys, my name is Jessie, and I'm the mom to a lower middle class family of 7. We're lower middle class, and we share 1 vehicle, even though we really should have 2. We're lower middle class, and we've had the same blinds since we moved in here. We're lower middle class, and our deep freezer is in a shed outside. We're lower middle class, and we have very minimal home decor. We're lower middle class, and we don't have a dishwasher. So yes, there's usually dirty dishes in the sink. We're lower middle class. We don't qualify for food stamps, but we spend all of our money on food. We're lower middle class, and we run a business from home just to be lower middle class. We're lower middle class, and none of our dishes match. We're lower middle class. Our kids not only share bedrooms, but they share clothes too. We're lower middle class, and we have 7 people sharing 1 bathroom and a bunch of towels that don't match. We're lower middle class, and I'm sweating my ass off right now because I refuse to turn it below 69. We're lower middle class, and we use fine china, baby. Plastic spoons, plastic forks, paper plates. We're lower middle class, and our carpets are stained because we've never owned a shampooer. We're lower middle class, and we thrifted our computer, keyboard, and computer chair from Goodwill. We're lower middle class, and we've had the same vacuum for years. We're lower middle class. We use plastic cups for our kids. We're lower middle class, and I save all my kids' birthday party decor so that they can be reused. We're lower middle class. Our curtains literally don't match anything in our house. We're lower middle class. We save and reuse all of our grocery bags. We're lower middle class, and we thrift all of our kids' clothes so that they can walk around in nice name brands while I walk around in my husband's t-shirt and basketball shorts. We're lower middle class. Our windshield wipers only work on high because we've yet to get them fixed. We're lower middle class, and these are the first new cookie sheets that I've bought in 5 years. We're lower middle class, and we buy all generic medications because who are we kidding? What's the difference? We're lower middle class, and we drink from water bottles because we don't trust our drinking water even though we pay for it. We're lower middle class, and this is the very first year that we've bought a new Christmas tree. We're just a lower middle class family of 7 out here surviving.
Millions of people are feeling the squeeze. Millions of people out there are experiencing what she just described, if not worse. The gap between the wealthy and everyone else is growing wider every single day. If you don't pay close attention, you might not realize how dangerously close, how very close it is we are losing the middle class.
Am I the only one who feels like I will never stop living paycheck to paycheck? The economy we live in is trash. The jobs we work for are trash. They pay you the bare minimum but want you to show up and give your 110%. How does that work? These houses, they want you to pay $1,000+ for rent, and they're 1980 houses. You gotta have a deposit, last month's rent, first month's rent. Like, why do I need to pay last month's rent? I don't understand that. Car insurance, car payments, they're rip-offs. Why am I paying $300 for car insurance? I don't understand. Health insurance skyrocket, food skyrocket. Like, I just don't understand how I will ever be able to afford to wake up and go hop on a plane and enjoy my best life. I just don't understand. By the time my kids get to adulthood, they're gonna have to pay to open the door to walk out of their own house. I really, really, really rather be a cockroach crawling on the ground for free than have to live this life every day. Like, I can't be the only one who feels this way. Like, I need to know, y'all that get to wake up and take trips and go across country and do $100 shopping sprees at Target every single day, what are you doing? What's the secret to life? What is the secret recipe that you have that we don't have? Let us know.
This is why you feel poor when you go to the grocery store, even though inflation is actually down. If you bought this and this in 2020, it's like $10. Now, 15. Why so much if inflation isn't up 50%? It's something called a permanent price adjustment. So even though inflation's come down, it doesn't mean that people who previously raised their prices are also going to decrease prices. In fact, they're probably going to keep them high. So the grocery store is going to continue to punish you even though inflation's gone down. So you're not going crazy, you're paying way more.
The millennials and Gen Zers who are complaining that they can't buy a house are not working for minimum wage. These are people making $60, $70, $80, $90,000 a year who can no longer afford a house. But minimum wage workers are also complaining because they can't afford rent. If you look back to 1980, the rent was $243. Minimum wage was $3.10, meaning your monthly gross was $496. So to rent this apartment, it would be 48.9% of your gross income back in 1980. But let's fast forward to 2024. The average rent is $17.47. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, giving you $11.60. You can't even get an apartment with the federal minimum wage. But let's be generous and double the federal minimum wage, because people at Walmart and fast food joints are making $14.50 to $15. So $14.50 would bring you to $23.20. So technically you're making more, but this is your gross, and it'd be 75% of your gross income, making double the federal minimum wage in 2024. But let's take it even a step further. ZipRecruiter said that the starting pay for college graduates is $24 an hour. So that would be $38.40 a month. So someone with a bachelor's degree could afford this one-bedroom apartment, but it would be 45.4% of their gross income. A college graduate is spending the same amount of their income on rent as the minimum wage worker in 1980 did. Roughly the same. And the minimum wage worker in 1980 put on a hat, learned skills for 2 weeks, and started their job. A bachelor's degree spent 4, 5, 6 years of their life in school and $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and now have to spend the same amount of money on rent as a minimum wage worker did in 19.
Things are really getting out of hand. People are struggling to survive. The gap is closing real quick. Everything has gone up. Price of housing, rent is high. You go to grocery store every week, the price increases. Everything is high. I wonder how people are surviving. Let me know how you're going through this in the comment section.
When you look back to 1980 to 2000 to today, you can see the major problem that we're having. The writing's on the wall. Here's the average housing prices: 47K, 120, 420, 13% interest rate in 1980, then 8% in 2000, 8% today. $600 out the door payment a month, $1,200, $3,700. But here's the problem. Back in 1980, what do you think you needed to qualify for this home? $18,000 in income, but yet the median household income was $21,000. That makes sense. The average American could buy the average house. In 2000, 20 years later, same thing. $38K to qualify, $42,000 median household income. Makes sense. Then today, this is the problem: $120,000 in salary to qualify, and yet the median household income is $81,000. They cannot qualify, so people are forced to rent. But let's look at the rent prices. In 1980, you could rent for $308, which was only 17% of your income. In 2000, if you didn't want to buy, you could rent for $600, 17% of your income. Well, today, people don't have a choice. There are 100 million people right now in this country that are forced to rent, which is 29.6% of their income. So many families can't afford to buy, and they're being forced to pay these high rent prices, and that's why they're feeling the pressure. We are witnessing, this year will go down in history as the year the middle class has finally disappeared. So we need to find a solution, and we need to find one fast.
Hello fam, welcome back to my channel. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. In today's video, we are discussing the rapid disappearance of the middle class. From sky-high cost of living to stagnant wages, this crisis is affecting millions of people, including me, and I want to believe it's also affecting you as well. But what is driving this dramatic shift? Why should it matter to you? Some time ago, the middle class represented the American dream. Although some people of the opinion that the American dream is dead. The American dream was having a job, owning a house, and having financial security, which was very much achievable for those people that were willing to work hard. However, over the years, being in the middle class has become less attainable. In the 1970s, a single income could comfortably support a family. These days, two income, families are struggling to get by. In fact, more than 60% Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck. The hyperinflation isn't just affecting Americans alone. The disappearance of the middle class isn't just affecting Americans alone. It is a worldwide issue.
Working 3 jobs to pay off $150,000 of student loans. Yes, that's right. As of January 2024, I owe exactly $150,056 of student loans. I started my journey to paying off my loans 2 months ago, and so far I have paid off $3,800, bringing the total down to $146,256. How am I going to pay off my loans? Well, I decided to earn extra income, and that's why I have 3 jobs. I currently work as a home infusion nurse, per diem hospice nurse, and content creator. I'm a full-time home infusion nurse and get paid bi-weekly at $56 an hour and work 40 hours a week. That's my steady income. As a per diem hospice nurse, I get paid per visit that I make, and I usually see about 5 to 6 patients average at the week for $90 at every visit. I also get paid bi-weekly, and how much I make depends on how many patients I see. The more patients I see, the more I get paid. As a content creator, I do get paid, but it isn't a consistent income, and so far in the last 2 months, I've made about $2,000. So follow along this journey as I pay off $150,000 of student loans.
If you've been keeping up with me, you know I work 2 jobs. I'm a dental assistant, orthodontic assistant during the day, and I'm a waitress at nighttime on the weekends. So I work part-time as a waitress. Now, I tell my mom this all the time. I've made the most money as a waitress. When I first started waitressing, I was at IHOP for, I think, a year, and doing that, I was 19 years old. I was bringing home $1,200 in tips in a week. $1,200 in tips in a week. And now I'm 25 years old. I'm working 2 jobs. What I make as a waitress, I make in a week compared to my dental assisting. What I make in 2 weeks at a dental office is what I make in a week at a restaurant. I'm not telling y'all to go be waitresses or nothing, but I'm just saying there's so much patience that requires you to be a waitress. Now, to me, it's worth it. It's worth the money, but not at every restaurant. Okay.
So why is this happening? What's exactly behind the alarming trend? There are several factors contributing to this disappearance of the middle class. The very first one has to do with automation and AI. Workplaces are deciding to go with automation and include AI in their day-to-day activities. By so doing, a lot of people are being rendered jobless and pays are being reduced. Business owners are choosing AI labor over human labor because it's cheaper and faster. Other reasons includes inflation. Of course, I'm pretty sure this one is obvious. Everyone is experiencing it. As long as you go to a grocery store, you go to a market to get food, everyone is experiencing it in different ways. In addition to that, globalization is also a huge factor here. Businesses that decided to move their factories to countries that are cheaper for labor is contributing to this. When you move a business from a small town, what do you think happens to that little town? Old workers will be rendered jobless, and it becomes a struggle for them to get by, for them to feed, especially when it's hard for them to find a new job.
Did you know within the next 5 years, AI and technology will be so advanced that it'll replace at least 30 jobs, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without work? That's right. Broke. From truck drivers to financial analysts, these jobs were once considered secure. and in demand, but will soon be replaced by machines, leaving thousands of people scrambling for employment. This is the future. This is reality.
It's estimated that 85 million jobs are going to be replaced by AI by 2025, and 30% of jobs will be replaced by the end of 2030. And these numbers are conservative because they're only taking into consideration generic AI. But if you want to protect yourself, economists are saying that there's 4 industries that are going to be the safest when it comes to financial security and job security for the next 2 decades. The first one's a no-brainer, and it's AI and AI development. The second one is healthcare, medical, and biotech. And the third industry is trades. So that's your electricians, plumbers, builders, construction workers, all incredibly hard to replace by AI and robotics at this point. And the fourth industry is tech, but more specifically, big data, software development, automation, and basically anything that streamlines logistics, production, and business processes. If you stick to these 4 industries, economists believe you're safe.
With the shrinkage of middle class comes polarization. The widening in the gap between the wealthy and the poor is going to lead to resentment and political instability. There's also the issue of social mobility and mental health crisis. If you don't have food to eat, you're going to be stuck in your head thinking, wondering. If you're sick and you can't pay for your medical bills, you're going to be stuck in your head thinking and wondering. People will be depressed. People will be anxious. You can name it.
I'm not buying fast food anymore. Matter of fact, I don't have the money to.
We don't have fast food servants anymore. The economy is changing. We saw this before 100 years ago. Back in England and Wales, around the turn of the century, between 10 and 12% of workers were domestic servants. They were so common that even the middle class had live-in servants. Agatha Christie's household, both her and her husband's income combined, was around the equivalent of $50,000 today. And with that, they hired a live-in maid for around $2,600 today. And then after she had a baby, they also hired a nurse. But that lifestyle is now gone. What used to be 10 to 12% is now down to 0.3% of workers. So what happened? Labor simply got more expensive, and economic lifestyles changed, just like today. Over the past decade, fast food wages have grown a cumulative 58%. Compare that to the wage growth for everyone else, somewhere around a cumulative 40%. Fast food prices in green have also grown about the same. But what about the minimum wage is still stuck at $7.25 an hour? No one's making that anymore. Go ask your fast food worker. They're all making $12-15 an hour now. How do you think the middle class felt here when they were losing all of their domestic servants? We live in an extraordinary economy that has been lifting the wages for the poorest among us, and yet all everyone else is complaining about is losing their fast food servants.
Is there a way out of all this? Can something be done? Certainly something can be done about it. For workers that are working in AI automated workplace, AI prone workplace, it's advisable for them to gain education in work fields that are not AI prone, and they should also get necessary skills that will enable them get work should they lose their work. For business owners and government needs to put policies that will prevent business owners from using too much automation in their workplace. They need to put regulation to the usage of AI in workplace. Income equality can also help. If the government considers creating fairer taxes, increasing minimum wage, that can help the low income earners. And also, if he can also regulate the price of food and other items out there, that will also go a long way. Having affordable housing and healthcare reform is another way for the government to help reduce the financial burden on the people.